Absolutely. The game being moved from the Gabba to Metricon Stadium was almost at the 11th hour, really. And Gil McLaughlin went on AFL 360 on Monday night, I think, and he was saying that it really wasn't up to the AFL. It was actually up to the ground staff that didn't prepare, and that Adele's concert and the preparation for the Ashes was involved. Just pretty lax, and I'm sure you're absolutely livid about it, weren't you, Lucy?
I was very livid about it because I just think it's completely disrespectful to the competition as a whole and to all of the girls that have played, just because this grand final is more than a curtain raiser. Like, it shouldn't be a curtain raiser. It should be its own event. But unfortunately, it has come down to the fact that the staff at the Gabba and 3 independent reviewers have decided that the Gabba is unsafe to play on. So Brisbane lose their hometown advantage, essentially. They get a second-class event. And, they could have held it at the Adelaide Oval, which could have, that's another contentious issue. But in saying all of that, you cannot take away from the fact that it's still happening. We still have this women's grand final, and it will still probably be a great, great game and amazing. Like, there'll still be thousands and thousands of people there. They'll probably try and smash the record that was set at Icon Park, round 1, but we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to think it's these two teams that are in as well. Adelaide and Brisbane, I picked them for 7th and 8th. I think I picked Bulldogs and Freo for the top 2, which is not great in retrospect.
Dan, why didn't you pick Carlton?
I don't know. I just didn't want to favour them like you, Lucy.
Yeah, we're not all as biased as you are, Lucy.
Well, Darcy Vesio won leading goal kicker, and Brianna Davies going to win best player of the league. So
that's not a biased opinion at all. I think Erin Phillips is a good chance. I think Daisy Pearce is a fair chance.
No, Brianna Davies going to win.
No, I reckon Phillips or Pearce or Paxman.
The game she missed will cost her.
I actually would love it if Paxman won, though, because so under the radar.
Yeah, a bit of a roughie there, I reckon.
But anyway, back to the
grand final.
Back to the grand final. But yeah, these were two teams that everyone kind of,
pushed them aside.
Brushed them off at the start of the thing. That first game, Brisbane's first game against Melbourne, it was the rain. It was the conditions. That's why they won. That's why Melbourne didn't win. Then the next week they were just like, they're just getting lucky. Like, it's fine. Like, don't worry about them. But then, no, they finished the season undefeated. Mind you, Carlton came closest to beating them.
But they didn't.
Unfortunately.
They drew. That was ridiculous. Couldn't believe they ended up drawing that one.
I know, right? Yeah, it was, we were 18 points down with 4 minutes to go. We
were there,
yeah. I spoke to Darcy Vesio after the game, and she was like, it was really weird because she was like, it felt like we won that game, even though it was a draw end of the season. So the girls are very excited about it. But I think that gives Brisbane the momentum going into the grand final. But Adelaide also had another amazing win over Collingwood, coming back from like a goalless third quarter.
Yeah, well,
Tex and Erin Phillips.
It's just something special.
As it's been all year, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, as you were saying, like, I think myself, I wrote off Brisbane after round 4. I'm like, can they do it against Adelaide? And they've just been doing it. And we all thought that Adelaide wouldn't have any team chemistry.
Yeah.
Coming into the season, I mean, half of them were training in South Australia, half of them training in Darwin. And I think all of us on the show were like, well, that's a recipe for disaster. I mean, they're not going to be able to play with each other. And every week, they've just grown and grown and grown. And I think, easily the 2 best teams of the comp, I reckon.
Yeah, easily. I think as much as people have very much disliked the whole top 2 go to the grand final, at least they've ended up with the best 2 teams of the season, like, going through, which is something that, doesn't always happen when you play a final series.
I do think we need, I think they need a 2-week grand final, at least a 2-week final series, top 4, because I think it is a bit harsh on Carlton to finish, more
Melbourne.
Well, yeah, Carlton and Melbourne.
The highest, after Collingwood before the Collingwood and Adelaide game, they had scored the highest score of the competition and won by the highest margin ever so far, and then were relying on results, which unfortunately didn't fall their way. So if you were Melbourne, you'd feel a bit stiff, because you would have all the momentum going into like a final series like that. But as we said, the best 2 teams are going into the grand final now.
Who is going to win, Lucy? Who is going to win?
I think it'll be a really, really close game, but I actually won't be surprised if Adelaide wins.
Ooh.
I think Tex really turns it on when it's a big occasion, like she did last week. And Erin Phillips is amazing. she's really shown, as one of, like, the code hoppers, she's really shown that she has, like, can play very, very, very good football anywhere on the ground. Plus, they have Chelsea Randall, who in that game against Brisbane was best on ground despite playing in a losing team. So, and Ebony Marinoff as well. She has, what was her stat? It's like she's had 30.
I think she averaged like 10 tackles a game.
10 tackles
as well.
a game, and
Crazy.
it was like 30 for the last 2 rounds.
Nuts.
So with
That's good ball.
with pressure like that, options up forward, and plus having Chelsea Randall running off half back, you can't go past things like that. And with Sabrina Frederick-Traub and Taylor Harris both nursing injuries, you know, it could be a bit of a blowout, I reckon.
I have to say I agree with the Adelaide tip. I reckon they're not a sure thing, but I reckon they're going to win it, take it out, because they'll be filthy about the last game they played against Brisbane. That small loss, and they almost just about had the best of them. And yeah, I reckon they're going to come out firing. They looked very, very good in the their patches of play where they're, you know, getting it straight out of the centre, and Perkins just takes a huge mark, or, you know, Aaron Phillips is roving and snapping on the right. It's just, I reckon there's something special, and I think they deserve to take it out.
And also full credit to Beck Goddard, the coach of Adelaide, who has had to do the very, very tough job of combining those two squads, the one that's in Adelaide and the one that's in Northern Territory. And obviously doing such a great job to bring them together, to gel the girls together, for them to have that chemistry to make it all the way through to the grand final. So I think that might be something that might give them an edge over Brisbane as well.
Yeah, I think I've got to go Adelaide as well. I mean, just looking at Adelaide's team, they seem to have more star power. And I just feel like that's going to get them over the line on Saturday. I mean, Brisbane have had a really good overall team, a really good game plan, but apart from Taylor Harris, I would argue there's been real out-and-out stars apart from maybe Frederick-Traub. Whereas you look at Adelaide and you've got Phillips, you've got Marinoff, you've got Randall. I think the stars will step up for Adelaide on the weekend. I don't see it being a blowout by any means, but I can see it. I think it'll
be a close one.
I think there'll be a couple of goals in it.
Speaking of it not being a blowout as well, something that has also happened is that they've changed the rules.
Yeah. So they've changed the rules to make it 15 minutes plus time on for any behind. So any major break in play. So for the regular season, there was no time on until it was added on after whatever happened in the last 5 minutes. This is for the whole quarter, which we'll see a longer game. So I think the thinking behind this is to try and get it on a national stage, make it a little bit longer, make it a little bit higher scoring and more exciting.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting. I don't think it'll have too much of an effect on the overall gameplay in terms of tank and stuff, but I don't know. It could be interesting, but I still think Adelaide will win. But that is a fair point that it will reward teams with more free-flowing play, and I think we could definitely see quite a few goals in the last quarter.
Yeah. Definitely when it's like, because it's up in Gold Coast, obviously, some tough conditions.
Yeah.
Tough conditions. So you'll have tired legs with extra time, especially because all 4 quarters will be longer. But yeah, it'll be a great game. So that's 2 p.m. start in Melbourne, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was 1:55, so a little bit of an awkward time slot. But yeah.
Well, I just get confused because Brisbane has different time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Annoying.
Yeah, other places have different times to us, Lucy.
No, but like in Australia, it always used to annoy me when I would like watch the AFLW and I'd be so pumped and I was like, yeah, the game starts here, and then my dad would be like, no, it doesn't start now because that's Adelaide, and I was like, oh.
Couldn't you just look it up on Google?
Yeah, I could, but okay, I don't think that far ahead sometimes, alright? I was like, I just want to watch Darcy Vesio kick a goal now, okay?
I want it now.
I want it now. But it will be really, really good. But obviously sad that it's not going to be at the Gabba. Cannot take away from how historic this event is. And all 3 of us have gone with Adelaide. Bad luck, Brisbane.
Yeah.
Bad luck.
7-1 and zip all year, and then it's gone nuts.
But we're going to go to a song now. This is the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM, and this is The Preachers with I Know a Girl. And welcome back to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7 FM. That was The Preachers with I Know a Girl. And we've just wrapped up our AFLW Grand Final talk. And there's another big event this weekend that none of us know anything about, like we know stuff about the AFLW. So we have our special guest here, Melissa. Hi,
Hello.
Melissa. How are you?
SYN debut.
I'm
SYN
very
debut.
good.
How
My
you
SYN
feeling?
debut, yeah, pretty good.
And Melissa is going to help us understand what is going on this weekend at the Melbourne Grand Prix. And the Melbourne Grand Prix is actually a pretty big event that we have
Yeah,
isn't it?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. So, yes, obviously things kicked off yesterday. So they kick off with basically all V8s, supercars, and a few other car events. And then we get into practice on Saturday. And we have a few rounds of practice, and then Friday, and then Saturday afternoon we have qualifying, which is when the meaty stuff happens. So we have 3 sessions over qualifying, which takes about an hour. So all cars start in qualifying 1, obviously, and then do a couple of hot laps around the track, and then we gradually get rid of the slowest ones. So in qualifying 3, you shoot out for your top 10. That all gets established at the end of that on Saturday afternoon, and then Sunday the big race. At about 5 o'clock on Sunday Arvo. Super exciting, big event. First race of the season for the Formula Ones, for the Grand Prix. Yep. Okay. Melbourne kicks it all off.
Yeah. And when you say qualifying, so all the cars that come for the Melbourne Grand Prix don't necessarily race.
No, they do.
Oh, they do.
So
okay.
Qualifying establishes where you start on the grid.
On the grid, okay.
Yeah.
Who's going to get number 1 grid spot? What is it
pole
called?
position.
Pole position.
That's it. I knew it, but I didn't.
No,
well,
you didn't.
that's the big question at the moment, isn't it? I mean, because it's the first race of the season, there's a fair bit of unknown. There's been some pretty significant changes to the cars, which we'll get to in a second. But I think most people would be backing in Lewis Hamilton, who is the reigning champion, to get pole position. He's got a new teammate in Valtteri Bottas, so there'll be a fair bit of pressure on him to see if he can live up to that Mercedes hype. Yeah. Obviously, he's replaced... Lewis Hamilton's not reigning champion. Nico Rosberg is, and he retired at the end of last year.
Oh, right, yeah.
And Valtteri
so forget
Bottas.
about him, who cares?
So
Lewis Hamilton may as well be the reigning champion.
Well, he basically is. So he's going for his 4th championship this year, has been the dominant force for a long time in Formula 1. Nico Rosberg won last year, his first championship title, and then decided to retire at the height of his career, which is awesome.
That is cool.
It was quite dramatic.
It was.
But he said he wanted to spend more time with his family. And then, so we've got Valtteri Bottas in there now, which was a bit of a curveball, but he's stepped into... the best team
Isn't
in
he fairly
the league.
young as well?
Yeah, exactly. So there'll be a few watchful eyes on him, seeing whether he can live up to that Mercedes rep.
So what are the teams and
who's in it? Who's in contention?
Yeah, who's in contention?
Exactly. So we've got Mercedes, led by Lewis Hamilton. They've been the dominant force for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Then all eyes are on Ferrari. Sebastian Vettel kind of leading the charge there. Kimi Räikkönen was setting the fastest times in practice in Barcelona a few weeks ago. So all F1 fans will basically be watching in anticipation to see whether Ferrari has closed that gap between them and Mercedes. Mercedes have been just a few steps ahead of the rest of the competition. All signs are currently showing that gap might have closed. Ooh. And then, of course, behind Ferrari, we've got Red Bull, led by Aussie Daniel Ricciardo. Woohoo.
Here we go,
yes,
the
Perth
Aussie.
boy. We'll be excited to see what happens there as well. And, of course, Daniel Ricciardo's teammate, Max Verstappen, he's probably one of my favourite drivers and probably the most exciting young driver. He's very young, 19 or 20 or so. And and he is, if you're going to look into any F1 driver, look into Max Verstappen. Okay. He's ferocious. He is just... He's known as crazy to the other drivers. He just seems to overtake when you shouldn't overtake. He doesn't have that fear barrier. So eyes will be on him as well. But, I think Lewis Hamilton will still probably get pole, but we'll be in for an exciting race after that.
You mentioned the new rules and tyres. What does that mean for racing?
Yeah, so... the cars themselves are a bit bigger this year as well. They're a bit wider. They've kind of gone back to that old school F1, and they've done that to try and take F1 back to its roots and get the cars. The cars had kind of technically advanced a bit too far, and it wasn't what we knew. So we've brought that back a bit. The tyres are now a lot wider, so they're 6 centimetres wider each side at the front, 8 centimetres wider at the back. What does this mean? Well, that means that there's less tyre degradation. Is this a good or bad thing? So basically we'll see probably less pit stops throughout the year. Tyres are lasting longer. that kind of takes away from the racing element a bit in the sense that there's less uncertainty. So, in the past we were seeing some overtakes and some really kind of risky racing because people's tyres were wearing thin and quite quickly. Within half a lap the tyres could change a lot. That might not be the case this year, although Max Verstappen has slammed that and said that he's noticed no difference in practice, but no one takes his word too seriously because he's so crazy.
Yeah.
And then the other thing also, because the cars are, are quite a bit wider, passing opportunities are, we're thinking, going to be a lot harder, which isn't a great prospect because, of course, passing is what makes racing so exciting. But flip side of that as well is in practice times, the cars have been going about 5 seconds faster a lap, which is huge.
Yeah.
So you're saying,
Big
your
difference,
lap times are 120, 140s, that sort of thing. 5 seconds faster. Crazy.
That is a lot.
Daniel Ricciardo said the other day he actually felt his seatbelt stretch a bit from the added G-force this year in practice.
That's
Crazy.
A lot.
Crazy.
Pretty fast.
What do you think are Ricardo's chances of taking it out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we'd all love to see him win. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't think he'll take it out. I would definitely say, though, anything less than a podium finish would be a disappointment. I still think Hamilton's going to be a dominant force, but that's second, third, fourth, fifth. That's all going to be super close. So it'll be exciting. There's a whole lot of unknown, but Daniel's proven himself to be one of the most elite drivers in the whole field. If he was in a Mercedes car, we might have a really different chat on our hands. So has the Red Bull improved enough to get him up to with the Mercedes? We'll have to wait and see.
What is it that's putting Mercedes ahead of all the other teams?
Yeah, it's a good question, and I think that's $1 million question. I think Red Bull bosses would like to know that as well. It's just the car, the engines, and just the engineering feats that they've been able to achieve with their car. So it does come down to the engines. Obviously, most of the cars have different engines, and that Mercedes engine it just seems to be a class above the rest. So that gap has closed, as I said, within recent years. But they've got different strengths and weaknesses. So the Red Bulls have traditionally been a lot better around corners. That sort of chicane racing, the Red Bull will beat the Mercedes every time. But down the straight, the Mercedes has got you so many times over. So that's the difference. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
God. Be a big weekend.
Sam is shattered that he's not here. He would absolutely lap this up.
But he's in the best seat in the house.
Yeah, exactly.
He's there. So
yeah, our usual co-host Sam is currently doing an internship at the F1, so he's there at the moment, trackside, as Melissa said. Best seat in the
driving.
House. He's driving. Yeah.
I can confirm he's
I
not
love
driving.
it. There's a 19-year-old driving an F1 car, and I'm 24, and I don't have my license.
Yeah, I don't have.
Oh, totally. So when Max
Verstappen
is German. And kind of comes from a racing family, I'm pretty sure. And he, was doing practice times for the key big Formula One teams when he was 16. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
There was,
hell?
and this chat always gets up in the media of should he have had to have an L plate on his car in Australia? Racing. How funny.
I get scared going 50 k's an hour.
Oh yeah, I haven't driven a car since I was 18. So
why not, Lucy? Why not?
Why not? Because to be honest with you, I have no interest in driving whatsoever.
How do you get around?
In Melbourne, we have public transport.
Yeah, it's pretty unreliable though.
Yeah.
Faster than an F1, our public transport.
Whoa.
Don't know what trams you're taking.
I think.
You might get on a tram this weekend and then might be going a little bit faster than usual.
Yeah.
That's because the tram drivers
5 seconds faster.
It's because Lewis
if
Hamilton
you're
is
living in
driving
the
a
inner
tram.
city, if you're living in the inner city, keep an ear out for the F1 cars.
Oh, you'll certainly be able to hear them.
You'll be able to hear them.
For sure.
But
especially if you're in Albert Park. Yeah.
And that's another talking point, though. Over recent years, I don't know if you guys have been to the Formula Ones at all recently, but the sound has got dramatically quieter. To the regular un-F1 fan, still very loud.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of talk in the industry about the cars got quieter, it's lost its punch. Christian Horner, boss of Red Bull, said that's going to be F1's number one priority, after these rule changes and tyre changes and kind of car changes this year, which they'd been campaigning for the last couple of years to try and bring that racing closer together. the next big thing for Formula One is to get that big sound back, because that's what everyone loves. It's what the punters love.
How do you make it louder?
There's been engine changes, so again, all
Just
the
put that
engineering
other
feats,
engine
but
back in there.
yeah. So they have done, certain tweaks with the engine and with the downforce that have quietened things. So to make it louder, remove a couple of things, I suppose.
Is that a good thing though, to
It
make it
is.
louder?
Oh, I don't know. I suppose if you're into it, it's good.
Like,
For people
No,
like me,
Dad. You
and
go
Come on,
like,
Benno, you don't understand.
For, like,
my dad-
F1
my
dad-
lovers. Yeah, but
It is
you go to
loud.
music and you love it when it's loud. It's the same sort of logic.
oh, Dan, what a beautiful, beautiful like metaphor that is.
There we
I
go.
love it.
See,
He's got me there.
One final question for you, Melissa.
Mm.
There has been talk over the years of them changing the time of the Grand Prix as well. So
Yep.
it was like later, either in
Yeah.
the evening or
Yeah,
things like
to a
that.
twilight
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Will that ever happen?
It's a really good question. Lewis Hamilton was actually in the media the other day, and he, of his own whim,
Yes.
suggested that perhaps Australia look at alternating between Melbourne and Sydney each year.
Nah. Not
Yeah,
happening.
which is what every
Yeah.
Melbourne person
No,
has
no, no.
said.
Yeah.
Melbourne's got it secured for quite a while, I think maybe until 2020.
Yeah.
But before we re-signed that contract last year, the F1 bosses showed some interest in Sydney, because imagine that broadcast coverage. Sydney were trying to poach the race, saying, we'll shut Sydney Harbour Bridge. You can race along there. And
Oh
from a
my God,
broad-
as
No way.
if.
From
Nah,
a
no
global,
way.
From a global perspective, that is just ridiculous.
Ridiculous,
So,
crazy.
What
yeah, maybe we might see it alternate between Melbourne and Sydney. Maybe we might see a twilight slot,
Oh, I don't
according
know.
to Lewis Hamilton.
I'm not in. I'm like kind of so into that idea of them racing across the Sydney Harbour Bridge that I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like,
What if they fall off?
Yeah.
don't true. What if they fall off?
Yeah.
There's lots of sharks in that bay.
But
I'm
from
sure
a
there.
from a
The
from a
Sharks just want to
marketing
watch the race.
perspective, that would be
Yeah.
a sick shot.
I think
That
so,
would,
yeah.
that would
World
just.
Can't be topped. Yeah.
crazy, exactly. So that's Melbourne's fear at the moment.
Yeah.
But
I've got an idea. We send them over the West Gate.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
The fences are
Well
high up. It's
done.
fine.
Yes.
They are going through that.
Picturesque. But thank you so much for joining us, Melissa.
pleasure. I'm
and
excited.
Schooling us with some F1 knowledge.
Yes, tune in
So-
on Sunday Arvo.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
gonna be great.
Watch it on Sunday Arvo, and yeah, thanks again. And we're gonna go to a song now. This is Series with "Happy in Your Head," and you're listening to the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7 FM. And that was Series with "Happy in Your Head," and you're listening to the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7 FM. And we've just covered the F1 Melbourne Grand Prix, a sport that we don't usually cover on the Sports Desk. And now we're going into another sport that we don't usually cover on the Sports Desk. But because it's the Sport Desk, we do like to cover all of the sports. Isn't that right, Ben?
Every sport.
There's a lot of sports around, isn't there?
There's
I don't know if you guys have realised, but if you go onto Wikipedia and you look up sport, you might get a list. There's a lot of them.
Jeez.
There's a lot. Oh, I
Wow,
didn't even know that. Sometimes
That's
I
a
just forget
revelation.
that there's other sports apart from AFL and cricket, Occasionally soccer, sometimes netball, basketball.
Curling.
Usually the 2
Yeah.
minutes of A-League every week.
Yeah.
Lacrosse.
But we actually have branched out quite far this week in that we got ice hockey. We have an interview with Jason Baclig, who plays
Good
for
pronunciation there, Lucy.
Thank
well
you.
done.
who plays
Nailed
for the Melbourne Ice hockey team. Now, you might be wondering why we've decided to interview a Melbourne Ice hockey player this week. Well, it's because that they are coming into the Australian Ice Hockey League season, where Melbourne Ice are celebrating their 15th year as a club in that competition. But also the Ice Blacks, the New Zealand international team, are over in Melbourne at the moment to play off against the Melbourne Ice team and the Melbourne Mustangs in preparations for their World International Series, which is going to be played over in Auckland. So I got to have a chat with Jason about all of that, and we're going to play you that interview now. And that was our interview with Jason Baclig from the Melbourne Ice. If you're interested in catching the Melbourne Ice play this weekend, they're playing on Saturday, the 25th of March at 7 p.m, and then again next Thursday at 7 p.m. to take on the Ice Blacks, which would be pretty good considering that, as we mentioned in the interview, New Zealand and Australia do have that historic sporting rivalry. So I'm sure that it will be a big action-packed game full of maybe some of that bit of biffo that ice hockey is known for.
There is other aspects to ice hockey too loose.
No. It's all punches.
It's just punches, yeah, no. But, so it'll be really, really good, and that's very, very exciting for Melbourne Ice to be going into their 15th season. But we are going to go to a song now, just before we crack into the last part of our show.
Footy.
yes.
AFL footy is back.
Yep. The AFL, as my friend called it yesterday, AFL the men's, is back now. So, you know, I'm not going to really be that interested for the rest of the year, but that's okay. That's what happens.
You will
with
be
me.
because
We'll
we
make
are
you
inclusive
interested.
of all sports.
Yes,
on
yes,
the
It's
sports
true.
desk.
Yes.
It's true, yeah.
It is us.
And you
Sports
go
desk,
for
reliable.
Sydney. They're going to win like pretty much every game.
Yeah, we will. We got Buddy. Me and Buddy sitting at the
But didn't you used to
centre half
go
forward.
for Essendon though?
Yeah, I did, but we don't. We've spoken about this so
Look,
many
I
times that it's
wonder
just like
why.
old news.
I
The
used to be a bit more faithful.
sports desk is inclusive of everyone, even bandwagoners.
I'm not my mum. Okay, I'm
There
not
we
getting
go,
into
here we
this.
go,
I'm
here
not
we go.
getting into this now. But we're
Your-
going to a
your-
song.
Your mum bought a bandwagon and you hopped on it. We get it, Lucy. This is Asta with Shine, and you're listening to the Sports Desk on Sydney 90.7 FM.
And that was Asta with Shine, and you're listening to the Sports Desk on Sin 90.7 FM. We don't have a lot of time left, so we're just going to quickly wrap some things up.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, it really
We always
does.
say it
We
every
say
week.
that every single week, but it's true. Some cliches are meant to be cliches.
Some cliches are true.
Exactly. But AFL started, I honestly just almost said AFLW. AFL, the men's, started last
AFLM,
night.
sorry,
AFLM,
last night.
yeah.
And I was there to watch the Tiggies get we'll say a nice 43-point victory over the Blues.
Club defining.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much. We're first on the ladder, so therefore, take of it what you will. Yeah.
But yeah, as someone said in the Age of the Week, Richmond are going to win the flag. But that was the first game of how many games this weekend?
9.
9 games this weekend. So lots of big games, lots of blockbusters.
8 more
Absolutely.
teams could win.
8 more teams, exactly.
Or there could be 8
Are you
draws.
going on Saturday, Benno, to Essendon Hawks?
I will definitely be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there with bells on.
That'll be a big.
We're going to
with
lose.
bell chambers on.
We're going to lose by 10 goals.
And don't forget the AFL Women's Grand
Honestly,
Final
we're
is on
gonna lose by
Saturday.
10 goals.
So watch that
That's
one.
the tip.
But aside from that, Socceroos have hit some difficult...
Might not qualify for the World
Yeah.
Cup. How about that? That's
hit a
ridiculous.
snag with a draw against Tehran, I'm pretty sure it was.
It'll be
Iraq.
ridiculous.
Iraq.
Yeah.
Oh, same
Um,
thing.
It was in Tehran.
Yeah, so they have to finish first or second in their group to qualify for the World Cup, and at the moment we're sitting third, and with a draw, we could stay there. So for the first time in 10 or so years, we could see a World Cup without Australia in it.
Yeah, it'd be.
I just remember John Aloisi throwing his shirt off. Australia's going to Germany. That was 2004, wasn't it? So 13.
2005
Yeah.
against Uruguay to qualify for 2006.
But aside from that, we also have the final test in India starting tomorrow.
Huge, and I wish we could have spoken more about it. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's crucial.
Imagine
for us.
Yeah.
Monday Sports Desk will be definitely talking
Yeah.
about
Oh,
that.
definitely be
Tune
talking
into
about
that
that.
for sure.
We Australia managed to grind out an excellent draw thanks to Peter Hanscom and Sean Marsh, and we're going into a test that it seems the wicket will favour the pace bowlers, which has obviously been Australia's strength for many years. So hopefully we can capitalise on that, and hopefully Coley doesn't make runs again.
Yeah.
And,
Fingers crossed.
Well, he might not play in the last test. No, I'm hearing
He's
that
gonna get
they've flown a replacement batsman in. There's injury doubt there.
Oh.
Just hearing that around the trap.
He
So
hurt his shoulder from shouldering too many times. That's what's happened. Exactly. Shooting stars.
Should have left that one alone.
Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Sports Desk. It has been such a great time. Just such a jam-packed show. And my final message for everyone is to tune in to the AFLW Grand Final tomorrow, 2 p.m, Channel 7, or on Fox Footy, because it's going to be amazing.
do I get my
Huge.
final message?
Fine, Ben, you can have a final
Up
message.
the Dons.
And my final message is Tigers are going to win the flag this year. Hop on the Tiggy train.
You can catch us again on Monday at 9 a.m, and up next is Schools on Air.